All right. Hello and welcome to TesterSpeak special feature, and I'm your host, Brijesh Deb. Today with me, I have Parveen Khan, one of my favorite speakers in conferences. Uh, I did not waste any time to take her name because I wanted to talk to you about a few things about her. She is a coveted speaker in many conferences. She did two back-to-back conferences in the last 2 weeks, which was incredible. She has done a lot of work in terms of pairing up with testers and sharing that knowledge of testing with others. She has been mentored by none other than Angie Jones, and Angie also is highly appreciative of the skills that Parveen has. So without any further ado, welcome Parveen.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for an awesome introduction, Brijesh, and thank you for having me.
Well, Parveen, I just could not hold the excitement anymore because this has been a long time coming. I was trying to get you on the show for a long time. I was thinking of reaching out to you, but then things happened, and finally we are here. We covered. At least I covered a lot of ground to get hold of you, which is good. So I'm proud of myself. Sometimes a little bit of self-praise is also good. Okay, so Parveen, without wasting any further time, let's get on with it. So tell us, how do you get started with testing?
Yeah, how did I get into testing? I think like how everyone has a different way of either they get into testing or they kind of like and they start into testing. So for my, like even I have something different too. Like, I came here like in UK, like, I studied back home in India, and I did my like master's in computer science, but I never heard a lot about testing back then. I came here in the UK, and then I came across one of my friend who was doing testing, and then I found it very curious, and then I started to figure out, like I started reading about it, and then I said, okay, what is this actually? Why didn't I learn this? I remember having this testing as a one chapter, but not as a whole, the whole subject on its own. And then I started reading, and then that made me more like, more curious, and I really liked it. And that's where, like, I started to learn, and then I really found my, like, I started working as a tester, and then keep learning and still learning and exploring. So yeah, I'm really liking what I'm doing. So I am in testing in that way.
Which is good. So when you initially started testing, okay, a few years ago, versus the way people test now, do you see a difference?
Yeah, I think it matters where we are, like, but then back then, I think now at least people are being very vocal and trying to share how we should be doing things. And I think back then it was more very generic, not generic, but it was more like, tester's role was very not so valued, I believe. That's how I see, like, I don't know, like that's how I see, and that's what my opinion is. Like, it was seen more as a afterthought role basically, and something which is a kind of a supporting role, and just doing, not a like valuable team member. And it is all about, like, documenting, checking and everything. But now I feel like it's changed. A lot of people are changing, like, it's this role has turned more into, like, a very important valuable team member, not just like, having someone who is just checking things. So I think that's where I see, like, I think seeing how I used to do and how I'm doing right now, that's how I feel. It's pretty different to how it was earlier.
Nice. Now you mentioned something very important. that testing was seen more like an afterthought. Now, do you still think there are some companies which think of testing as an afterthought? Like, okay,
Definitely.
we should probably do or things like that?
Yes, there are definitely. That's what, like, again, in the time changes, there are still some companies who still think testing or a tester as a something not a must have role, but as an additional supportive role, but not someone who adds value or as a quality is very important. It's kind of like extra additional additional role. There are still a lot of companies. When I say that, it means that it has changed, but not everyone has changed, or not every company's perspective or aspect on testing has changed. So there are still a lot of companies who work in a similar style where you think you don't have to involve testers in early gatherings, or like you don't have to get tested in every meeting, or tester doesn't have to know these kind of decisions. Let's not just let us give these requirements and let them test. That's it. So still there are companies who treat testers, or who feel testing is an additional bit of work.
Okay, so for those who feel testing is an additional bit of work, what is the message that you want to give them?
One message, like in short, I would say that it's like quality. Like don't think about testing or a tester. Think about the quality. Like when you are delivering, what is your main aim? When you are delivering a product as a developer, as a CEO, as a manager, as an architect, whoever it is, whatever role, whoever it is, right? So if you are trying to deliver deliver a product or a feature or anything to the user, what are you trying to achieve? You want the user satisfaction. You want to give that quality to the user, and you want the customer or user to be happy using your product or a feature, whatever you have developed, right? So I want them to think from that point and then come back to okay, how can we achieve that? So by having a tester. So that's how I see it, and that's the message I want to give. Don't when you think like testing or a tester as from the first point of view, it becomes different. But I want to think from what are you trying to deliver to your customer? You have to prioritize that and think from the quality perspective.
That is a very interesting point that you made, because when companies start thinking about solving people's problem and start thinking about what are they trying to deliver to the customer, the perspective does change. But along the same lines, a lot of modern day companies are giving more priority to delivering stuff to the customer rather than testing it thoroughly and delivering it to the customer. You know what I mean, right? So the precedence is given to time to market rather than the quality. So
yes.
So I will. We are talking about project. I will name those companies. Well, the famous five, the FANG companies, as we know them, which is Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So they're famous five. If you look at their business model, their strategy, it's all about reach the customer faster. Microservices, CI/CD, and automated testing, and still, if you and I as users, if we dig a little deeper, we find a lot of bugs. So what is going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of people I don't know, everyone wants to deliver faster, but I think the point should be it's not like if you involve quality, that doesn't mean that your delivery becomes slow. I think that's the wrong perspective. So if you are trying to deliver faster, think about every aspect. It's not just developing something, but it is about it's about developing a quality feature and delivering it faster. That's how we should think about, and not about not think like if we do a lot of testing, we can't deliver faster. No, that's not at all true. It's about like you have to have the hypothesis of like, okay, we want to deliver these features faster. So how can we deliver that? How can we add the process to it? What are the testing we could do? Like everything matters, right? Like it's not that, and delivering faster is nothing to do with like, whether you are doing monolith, or whether you're doing microservices, whether you're doing like continuous integration or delivery. It could be in any form. And it's not about like, I think a lot of people like, when you are trying to deliver faster, it's all about automation, and it's not about just that. Of course, you are automating the process, and that automation doesn't mean that only you're automating the testing process. You're automating when you're delivery, and you have developed the feature. Are you automating the step of deploying that? You're automating the step of like, building the infrastructure. So those are the steps as well. So where like everything matters, like everything is part of delivering faster, not just exclude testing when you're delivering faster, or think testing is a bottleneck when you're delivering faster.
That is a very interesting view. And that also brings me to the next question, which is, of course, I'm a huge fan of, that is your work. Now, you've been working with a lot of testers from across the world. Okay, and I'm talking about the testing tour that you've undertaken. I think you've paired up with how many?
Like
11,
12,
12 other testers so far. So how did this idea pop up in your mind, and what is happening behind the scene?
Yeah, it's like I shared this story at one of the conferences as well last week. It is like the idea. It's not when you attend some conferences, like you kind of get inspired, and you kind of want to do something, right? So similar, like I was inspired. I was inspired by a talk, and that's where I started this testing tour. And the main reason behind me doing this pairing up with different people was like, because I was always a solo tester on a team, and I am still a solo tester. So I missed the part where like, learning from other testers and, trying to share and working with different testers. So I always missed that part. And that's the reason why I think I wanted to pair with different people, like who are testers externally, so that I can learn from them, and I can see the different perspective from their point of view, and see how their challenges are, and share my challenges. So it's like, trying to pair up with different people, learn and share different topics. So that's where the whole idea was. And it was like a huge, it was a great journey and a very great experience, where I got to pair with a lot of people on a lot of different topics. And not just that, but also like I wanted to share what I'm learning. So in the form of like, I tried to create a blog. I used to blog about each session, about what I'm trying to learn, and how I've done that. So it is more about not just for me, but pairing up and then sharing my journey with everyone else. So yeah.
Well, for the audience, testing tour and the stops are captured in Parveen's blog, and I'm going to add a link to the blog in the description of this video, and that way you can come to know about what he has been doing. And I'm sure, Parveen, you are looking for more testers to pair with. So reading those blogs will inspire a lot of other testers to pair with. Well, I would volunteer for that first up. Okay, so if we can pair up and do something soon, then that'll be really great. And besides the reason I want to feature on your blog. So
sure, yeah. I mean, still my testing tour is still continues, and yeah, it is definitely like I'm still open to pair.
I read it. I read about it, and then I heard about it in the conference, and I was like, wow, this is something cool, and the world needs to know about it. So that is the reason why I brought it up in this conversation. Now, I remember a few years ago, I happened to read a post from you, which was about uh, testers trying to transition into Agile and facing a sort of a challenge, seeing, oh, Agile, and that sort of a reaction. I don't remember the title of that blog, but I think that was one of your very first conference talks, if I'm not wrong, which you had tried to share. So
Yeah.
could you shed some more light about it?
I mean, yeah, that was my first talk and first blog post. It was Tester's Survival Guide on Agile Transition.
Yes.
I think that, that was my own story of, like, how as a tester, I like, sharing my experiences, like, how we transition from waterfall to Agile. And that was mainly because, sometimes you have a lot of books, you have a lot of blogs, you have a lot of things to read about when you're trying to move into a new process, or when you're not trying to move into a new tool. But sometimes it depends on a lot of context, that it becomes very different from team to team, what different challenges you face when you are doing similar thing. So for me, when we as a team were transitioning from waterfall to Agile, there were a lot of different challenges, and it was very dependent on the context of how the team or the kind of a product I was working on. Of course, I had a lot of things to read on, but it was like, not so clear about how I can take those into the how I can take those and implement, and, like, understand how I can what to expect when I'm working in like new setup. So that was the whole logic. Like, I really wanted to share, like, what are the, maybe people already know that, but still I wanted to share that this is a particular things which I faced when I transitioned. So it was really a great one, like, because from complete silo role, you become a very your role becomes like a contributor on day-to-day basis. So that was my experience, and that's how, that's what I wanted to share with everyone. So I think that was the whole point of me sharing that blog and the story.
So that I know that it was one of your very first talks. I don't know if you have a recording of that talk, but that blog definitely is still out there. Those slides are still out there. So I will put a link to those slides also in the description of this video for people who want to learn. And of course, so what you faced back then, do you think that testers are still facing the same problems when they are sort of getting into Agile or now getting into DevOps? Do you think testers are still facing similar problems?
I think so, yes. I definitely think it's still a lot of like, everyone has their own way of like getting exposure to these kind of things, right? So I still feel that still we have these kind of challenges, but I see, but I think the only difference I see now is, like, there's a lot of community out there, and there's a lot of resources and a lot of help outside. Like, maybe I was not aware earlier, so that's why I struggled a lot, but now I'm aware of these things. So I feel it more like, you have some kind of help, or there are so many different channels where you can ask your questions and find the help. But so this is one thing I see it in a different when compared to earlier. As I said, maybe I was not aware of this community, that's why I had those kind of I feel like it's different to then and now. But now you have a lot, like, there are so many conferences, or you can say meetups, so there are so many people who has their own communities. For example, like, even you have your own, like, TesterSpeak Telegram, like, where everyone, whoever is facing their challenges, they can ask the questions, that you can find out different perspective from different people, right? So there are different ways where you can find not exact answers, but at least you can find some help. So that I felt like when I was going through, I like that. So that's the reason why it's different than now. But even though they are similar challenges, but there's a lot of help out there. So that's the difference I can see.
Well, yes, of course, you're right. I mean, there are many communities which are there to help us out as testers. So Test Chat is, of course, one of the communities that you spoke about. We also have the Test Tribe that is driven by Mahesh Chikne. We have Richard Bradshaw driving Ministry of Testing, and
Instead of testing, lot, yeah.
so likewise, there are many communities all over the world which are doing an awesome work, and providing platforms for testers to put out their questions, to learn from each other, to be a part of meetups, be a part of conferences, okay, to learn writing blogs, or you know or
Yeah.
something as simple as being able to speak up. That's also important. I mean, as testers,
Yeah.
one of the skills is to be able to express yourself.
Mm.
Communication skills, it is, in my opinion, one undervalued skill, because if you look at job descriptions these days, people talk a lot about automation tools and Selenium and Python and Java and things like that. And then there is a very small mention, maybe uh, one
Yeah.
line, or one, not even a line, in job description
Mm.
about communication skills. I don't know where that went. Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, something that is missing in the modern day job descriptions is testing. People,
Yeah.
you will not see the word testing. You will see everything else. You will see automation. You will see Selenium. You will see Java. You will see Python. You will see framework. You will see .NET. You will, and they will ask you for a zillion years of experience on everything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
funny. But in the job descriptions, you will never see things like, okay, you should have exemplary critical thinking skills. You can actually, I don't know why these are not there. Some people have argued that maybe these skills cannot be verified in an interview. Now, I'm a little surprised to get those kind of remarks, because you can definitely see if a person is able to think or not. Right, Pavi?
Definitely, yes. I don't agree with that people cannot test the creative skills, creative part of it in an interview. But yeah, definitely it is possible. And I know, like, a lot of people, yeah, soft skills have always been very softly ignored, but they are not soft skills, but they are very must skills, and very hard to get to those skills basically, and which is kind of must. Like, no matter how much experience you have in automation, no matter how much experience you have in everything, but if you are not able to put that across, if you're not able to communicate that very well, then that kind of like doesn't give you a right balance. I mean, again, this is what I believe in, and I think, coming back to the point where you made that a lot of people don't create is either doesn't matter, or either we cannot find out, like, or we cannot interview that part. But I think there are a lot of different ways to do that. Like, if you, for example, if you give this, even if a simple test, like, if you give the same simple test to different people, you get different way of testing it. So that's how it differs, right? Not everyone can test it in a different. That shows the creativity skill, like how a person is thinking about certain feature, or how a person is thinking about how it can be tested. So it's totally different. Some people can just come up to cases, not test cases in the sense test basically, but it could be different. So that's how you can come up with, you can think of creativity, right? I mean, this is just a very small simple example, but there's a lot more to judge, like, not lot more to think how a tester can think, like, to test the creativity part.
Right. So since we are talking about all of this, I want to draw your attention to something that you have been doing, and because I want to learn more about it, and I'm sure the audience will also be curious. Tell us something about your work that you're doing on observability.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is something which I'm learning since recently, which yeah, so which is like, it's one thing which I'm really learning and liking what I'm doing. So it's all about, yeah, I'm also giving a short talk in test weeks, like in coming weeks. So just giving an introduction of what this is for testers, basically. So it's interesting because I'm always interested to see the whole overall view of what I'm testing, basically, whether it's a product or something. So this gave me a chance of looking under the hood, like, when I'm testing a product or when I'm testing anything, uh, what's going behind the scenes. So having this observability in place, like, it gives the ability to, like, give the visibility of the system and easier way to debug. And again, you might think, what's to do debugging with the testing? But it's about, like, whenever you're testing what's happening in the scene, that's kind of, you're trying to learn about the product, you're trying to see what's going on, and if there is an issue, it's not something like you're just saying, oh, something went wrong, and you're raising that and letting the developer know or anyone, but it's more about finding more information and trying to add the feedback loop, like, shorter feedback loop of, like, getting extra information. And this is kind of uh, getting the, in simple short way, I can say, it's like getting the visibility of your product, basically getting the visibility of your application, what you're working on. So that is the reason why yeah, I really like this topic, and I'm trying to explore more of this. And yeah.
Cool. So this is one more thing that I would like to tell the audience, that when you are trying to do something in your project, always keep an eye out for opportunities of expanding your horizon. Don't just stick to doing the stuff which you are doing within the project. For example, if your project is learning test automation, learning Selenium, learning any new tool, whether it is test project or Karate DSL or anything. Yes, it's a good idea to keep learning those, to keep you afloat in the project. But if you look outside of the project scope and look at testing largely, you will see a plethora of opportunities for you to explore and try and learn new things. And this example of observability that Parveen just mentioned is one such example, where from the stuff that you are doing, if you just use it to look at the outside world, you will see something very interesting, and that you can focus on and build your skills on. So we'll definitely look to the TestFlix talk on that. And again, goes without saying, I mean, a lot of people have already registered, but for those of you who haven't registered, I will once again put the link of TestFlix registration on the description of this video. So this video is going to have a lot of links, thanks to Parveen and her different ways of doing things, and different take on testing and different perspective that she is bringing to the table, which is all cool. So so Parveen, in your journey, have you ever been in a situation where you've sort of had to go head to head against a development team or something like that on a particular issue, and you were like, no, this is a bug. They're like, no, this is not a bug, or this, and you said, no, this is a risk. And they said, no, this is not a risk. We'll go ahead and release it, and things like that. Have you ever been in this situation?
Like, being a tester, I think every tester will go through this kind of scenario, this kind of situation, because it's very, yeah, it is very.
So what is your approach to tackling such situations?
Yeah. It is like, it's quite a common situation, right? Like where you have to, like, again, the way it has to be, like, the way I do it is like trying to explain, like, not to say that this is a bug, fix it, but trying to understand how critical it is, what is, like, because again, I think it's not completely in with us that we have to get it fixed, but it is more of like, trying to see how much of a risk is it for the, like, for the application, for a product, or for the user, and trying to get all those context around that particular bug, and then trying to give that whole information, and then leaving the decision whether, like, we have business stakeholders, like, getting those that perspective as well inside, and then trying to give the decision making. It's not about, like, just give a shout that this is a bug, let's get fixed, like, it's not about just like that, but it is about giving the entire context of how critical it is and why is it important to fix that, and helping the developer to give even more information rather than just giving, some information and saying, can you just fix this, helping, like, pairing. This is what I try to do, pairing, and trying to go through why and what has happened, and come up, give that, trying to do in that way really helps in being more collaborative, and trying to be more helpful than being like, we're not in a opposite teams or opposite, we are not that. So we are trying to we are trying to help solve the problem, right? So that's the whole approach I try to take.
That's cool. That's cool. I think that is something that testers need to understand, especially testers who are starting fresh or have just started their journey. You will come across many instances where you go into these sort of confrontational situations, if I may.
Yeah.
But you must understand that from a larger perspective, that it is for the good of the product that you are having
Yeah.
discussion, and it is very important
Yep.
to provide all the necessary information to the developers, to the stakeholders, so that relevant decisions or the important decisions can be made on the basis of the information that you are providing. So in
Yeah.
situations, see yourself as information providers as well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very good perspective, because a lot of times testers uh, get stuck in that mindset that they are the gatekeepers of quality. So they're like,
Yeah.
a lot of adamancy that creeps in, and then we get
Yeah.
into discussions, you get into sometimes verbal battle, if I may put it. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
do it, and that's why consequently it crept into the next release, and you get into those arguments. You shouldn't be having those. Rather, you should be working in a more collaborative way. When you're talking about risks, try and make sure that you go over the risks with the team, the developers, the other stakeholders. So you make a very good point there, Parveen. I think it's very important for the testers to realize that testing is not a place where you could actually show some individual glory by waving your sword. Uh, it's a more collaborative thing. So
Yeah.
you made a very fair point. Now, I'm going to slowly move into the next segment of our interview, where I will do rapid fire with you, where I'm going to ask you 5 questions. So, and you're going to take no more than 5 seconds to think of an answer for those questions. Okay, and
Okay.
this is where you have a choice. You will have to tell me why you are picking that choice. Okay, so if you choose,
Okay.
if it is a multiple choice, and if you make a choice, tell us why you have chosen that. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
first question, very easy. I know the answer, but I want to know why. That's why. Okay, Secunderabad or London?
Of course. Of course, Secunderabad.
And why?
I mean, I've been like, I have had my childhood there. I've been there, I have all my, I've done all my education there, like my friends and everything. Like that's always going to be close to me. Of course, I like living here as well, but yeah, that's going to be my family is there. So also, of course, that's the main reason. So I go for that choice.
Okay, so I'm going to make the second question a lot more easier. Uh, a biryani or a burger?
Yeah. Of course, being a Hyderabadi, I would definitely go for biryani.
All right. So testing in Agile or testing in waterfall? Which one would you pick?
Yeah, I mean, testing in anything, but testing in Agile.
Why?
Because the way it has been structured, like it makes you feel like more you're like, you're contributing to the team, and rather than just being one single supportive role. It makes me feel like the way I have worked in Agile, it makes me feel like I can share my ideas. I can always be a strong contributor to the team, and being part of every Agile ceremony. That makes me more like, create my visibility within the team. So that's the reason why I would really like to work in Agile.
Okay, which one makes you more proud? A woman in testing or a woman in technology?
I think it's one and the same, because I believe they both are one and the same. I'm a woman in tech, and I'm a woman in tech. I'm a woman in testing.
Okay, you know where I'm getting to by um, bringing in the women in testing perspective, because we at the Test Chat have a show on our YouTube channel called Women in Testing. So you're going to be featuring on that soon.
Oh, great, thanks. Thanks.
Okay. That being said, it brings to my last question. What is your idea of a dream vacation?
Could be any, any relaxing place with my family, and just getting a break from everything.
Any would be a beach or a mountain resort, or what would it be?
Could be beach, yeah. Place where I can, we all can relax. So that I'm not a very big person where I'm very choosy about the places. I'm not choosy about places, to be very honest. I can go any place and I can like it. So yeah.
That's a very wise thing to do, because sometimes you get stuck in this fixation of going to certain places, and then you miss out on the goodness of other places. It's a very wise thing you do, and I have learned this over the years that, first I used to see a lot of places on TV, and I was like, I should go here, and I should go here, and I should go here. And now that I get a chance to travel, sometimes, places which are remote, off the city, and places which are tiny, village-like, they appeal a lot to me, and they're like, oh, this is a cool place. You are cut off from the rest of the humanity. You're all by yourself, and you can relax and chill out, and not be bothered about the rest of the world and the chaos that's going on. So,
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Yeah. I've been traveling few places, so that's why the more I'm being like, now I feel like, every place it's fun. I mean, every place is different, definitely, but yeah, I don't have a specific particular choice that I want to visit this, but would love to visit every place,
yeah,
any place.
yeah. I mean, of course, I have my bucket list of places to visit before I die. So of course that is there, but then these small towns and cities keep popping up, or villages that keep popping up, and they just mesmerize me, and I'm like, okay, this is one more good place. So that's okay. So Coming back to the whole discussion that we were having, how do you see yourself testing changing in the, or how do you see testing changing in the due course of say next 5 years or maybe 10 years?
Yeah, I think as the time changes, the technology changes. As the technology changes, we get new tools. As the we get new tools, we get to learn. We have like not just get to learn, but we have to learn how like with getting used to or learning those new tools or processes or different way of. I think one thing that won't change is delivering the value to the customer, but the thing behind how we deliver that might change, and that might be like adding up more tools or coming up with something more new kind of processes. I don't know, like you can expect anything. So this is one thing I learned in this 2020 is like anything, like be ready for any kind of like sudden kind of surprises. Maybe that's what how I can say, and that's how I see in the coming years, that you never know what new thing might come up, and you and I believe in being more adaptive and accommodative in trying to see how that might help, whether it's new tool or new process or anything, and not seeing that as a competence of seeing that, oh, maybe my role will I have my role if I have this kind of new tool or something or new technology. But I see it more of like trying to be adaptive of the how that can help us in deliver more like quality or be part of the team. So I think there will definitely be some new changes, but I don't know, I can't say that, but yeah.
Well, that's really good to know that you have a positive learning out of 2020, which has been a sort of a forgettable year for the world because of the things that have gone on. But yeah, 2020 has brought its own, positive things. For example, now we don't need to spend a lot of money to travel to conferences. We can do it all from home, whether it's participating in a conference or speaking at a conference. It can all happen from the comfort of your home. So that's something really positive. So you get an opportunity to attend more conferences, and I've had the fortune of attending or listening to you twice already this year, and looking forward to the third one. Well, which is absolutely cool. Now, coming to the last question, what does Parveen do when she's not testing?
With my kids, always. So if I'm not testing, I'm busy with my kids, spending time with them. So yeah, I have two little curious, can't say testers, but little too curious, never know what. But yeah, so I'll be spending my time with them, and that's if I'm not testing that, that's what I'll be always doing.
So would it be fair to say that those two little curious geniuses have made you a better tester?
Of course, yes, definitely. Like, I mean, I cannot say a better tester, but I can say that has been kind of given me something like, being a mom, like being a mom of two, and then, you get to learn planning, organizing, like, these are very, as you said, like soft skills, which are not counted, right? So that's how I feel that I get to learn a lot, like simple thing, like questioning. It's so easy for them to like question anything without thinking that, oh, will I look will I look dumb, or will I look what will I be judged on that? That's the thing which I like about them, the curiosity of asking the questions, and not thinking being judged. That's amazing. And yeah, that's what I think it gives me a lot of learning from them. And of course, like how having patience, like as a tester, you need to have a lot of patience. I think dealing with them teaches me being very patient, like having more patience. So there are a lot of things, like, you know, there are a lot of things which I get from them, get to learn, and have it as part of my day to, not just day-to-day life, but also as my within my day-to-day job life.
Exactly. So I have a 2-year-old son, and he teaches me from time to time. Like, for example, he's taught me the skill of not being bored by doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and with the same level of excitement. So he's show on TV. He's probably seen it 50 times, and the 51st time you show him that, he'll have the same excitement. You know, we often tend to get like, oh, enough. Okay, so say same thing. I mean, if we apply to our testing, if we can bring in the same energy. I know that these days we talk about automated regression tests and running repeatable tasks using scripts and things like that. But if you were to be put in a situation where you are looking at the same thing over and over again, so how do you get rid of that boredom? Well, I've learned that from my son. So yeah, kids do tend to teach you a few things, and of course he's not yet the age where he can ask a lot of questions, but I'll rely on your experience and and prepare myself accordingly. All right, thank you so much, Parveen, for giving me your time this afternoon. It is, like always, a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to your sessions in conferences. We look forward to having a chat with you again, maybe a chapter 2. With all the speakers that I've spoken to so far, have left enough room for a chapter 2 of a TesterSpeak. So with you as well. And like I said, I mean, I would be very happy to do a testing tour thing with you. So that will be a great opportunity for me to learn and of course share that learning with the rest of the world. So yeah, thank you so much once again, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for having me, and yeah, thank you so much. It was amazing conversation, and it's so even I'm looking forward for attending your talk at TestFlix, and of course, yes, thank you for having me here once again.
Well, that reminds me, there are a few more occasions when I'm speaking. I'm speaking on this Friday in a webinar. I'll put the link again in the description. I am speaking at a conference, 2 conferences in December. One is the Test Fest USA, and the other one is Global Testing Retreat. 2 very different topics, not the usual ones that I talk about, but see how that goes. So, so yeah.
Good luck.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Parveen. We'll catch up with you soon.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.